We know that back 2 years ago, Yahoo was aware of a massive breach.
Yeah, that pissed me off. 2 years ago.
Yes.
Oh.
Which they did not confess, which they did not warn their users of.
Shocking.
Which is incredibly irresponsible. So that was the one of the obvious things of concern when a user is saying, should I stay with them or not? It's like, okay, what would it take for you to leave? If they will like lose all of their user accounts, be aware of it, but decide, oh, that will hurt our reputation, so we're not going to tell anybody. Again, I understand why that's the case, but what we see on this podcast over and over and over is that the best thing anyone can do for their reputation, because everyone can make a mistake, is to say, this is what happened, we fix it immediately, and we're taking responsibility for it, and hope you appreciate that. So maybe that requires some sophistication. I don't know. So that's the first thing. Then comes the news, which Reuters dropped about a week ago, that Yahoo had been, for about the first half year of last year, from January through June of 2015, secretly scanning all customer emails for U.S. intelligence. They reported that Yahoo complied with an order it received from the U.S. government to search all of its users' incoming emails in real time. The EFF, in covering this, said there's still much that we don't know at this point, but if the report is accurate, it represents a new and dangerous expansion of the government's mass surveillance techniques. The EFF wrote, "This is the first public indication that the government has compelled a U.S.-based email provider, as opposed to an internet backbone provider, to conduct surveillance against all its customers in real time." And then in quoting from the EFF, I interjected my own note, and that is that this, of course, is the logical outcome of the going dark problem, where now the majority of the traffic that's flowing across the internet is strongly encrypted. So in this new environment, the endpoints where traffic is both concentrated and decrypted is the place to which mass surveillance must now move. And our listeners will remember that this was why I'm becoming more bullish on individuals creating their own open VPN endpoints at home rather than using a central service, because that's, as I said then, that's another concentration point where traffic is decrypted and massively available. So it is obviously foreseeable that there would be packet capture going on there. But the EFF continues, in attempting to justify its warrantless surveillance under Section 702 of the FISA Amendments Act, including the other two programs that have been covered before, Upstream and PRISM, that we've discussed extensively, the government has claimed that these programs only target, in quotes, foreigners outside the U.S., and thus do not implicate American citizens' constitutional rights. Here, however, the government seems to have dispensed with that dubious facade by intentionally engaging in mass surveillance of purely domestic communications involving millions of Yahoo users. The Reuters story explains that Yahoo had to build new capabilities to comply with the government's demands, and that new code may have itself opened up new security vulnerabilities for Yahoo and its users, and I'll explain that in a second. The security personnel inside Yahoo who discovered this previously unknown software described it as buggy, poorly written, and rootkit-like in nature. And then finally, the EFF concludes, we read about new data breaches and attempts to compromise the security of internet-connected systems on a seemingly daily basis. Yet this story is another example of how the government continues to take actions that have serious potential for collateral effects on everyday users. So, okay, what happened? The security team in Yahoo, which, by the way, has the I would call it complimentary nickname, but it was not regarded that way. They were known as the Paranoids because they were always saying to the rest of management, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. And so unfortunately, they just got labeled paranoid. So those guys.
I wonder who else I know might be labeled paranoid for their overarching concern about security. Stamos is very good. I think he was very good, and I think they had a good security team.
Yes, I completely agree. So there were a small group in the security group under Stamos, Alex Stamos, discovered this. They believed it to be rootkit malware that somehow got into their systems through a malicious entry point. The discovery was escalated several levels until it reached Alex Stamos's desk, who at the time, he's now at Facebook, but he was the head of Yahoo security. He researched it with within the rest of upper Yahoo management, discovered or learned, he himself learned that it had been deliberately planted without knowledge of Yahoo security people into Yahoo servers by others within Yahoo. And under orders, the incident was closed and all further pursuit of the case was immediately suppressed. So that's the way Yahoo, handled this. It is believed, as Reuters reported, to have been done due to a secret order from the U.S. government. Now, there has been some recently enacted legislation which makes disclosure of this possible, and open speech advocates are pushing for clarity and visibility on this specific matter. So we may get a little more news about this in the future. So, okay. So then the final piece. It's hard to believe. As of the beginning of this month, Yahoo has disabled automatic email forwarding for their service. It where it used to be, when a user tries to enable forwarding, they get the notice that forwarding is currently under development, even though it's been in place for 15 years. Existing forwarding is being honored, but no one is now allowed to establish new forwarding for email coming into their Yahoo accounts. And of course, it's transparent as to why, because the upshot of all of this, of the news of all of this misbehavior, is people want to leave. Well, the way you leave is you go create a new email account at another provider, and then you set up forwarding on your old email address to your new email address.
Fast, Mr. Gibson. I don't think we're going to let you do that.
Unbelievable.
You can't. Now, I presume I can set up a Gmail account, and I've been telling people to do this, and have Gmail fetch the mail from Yahoo Mail.
I I'll bet you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what I don't know, and you might have to have a paid Yahoo Mail account to do that. In other words, I don't know if they give you POP or IMAP settings unless you have a paid account, but maybe somebody in the chat room would know that.
Yes,
So just because Yahoo won't forward it for you doesn't mean you can't fetch it.
Although I guess
they couldn't stop that, or you wouldn't be able to. Email wouldn't work.
Right. Well, exactly. So we assume that you have either POP or IMAP access to Yahoo accounts. That is external access. So you're able to pull from Yahoo rather than just going through the web interface.
I should log in and see, because the problem is I have a pro account, so I don't know.
I'm sure we'll have some people tell us by the time we're through talking about this in the chat room.
There is no, by the way, button to delete my account either.
No. And what some people have had to do is they've had to set up out of office, because you can still do that. You can say you can create an out of office auto respond where you give your new email.
Yeah, say I'm not here. Yeah.
So people are having to do a workaround because Yahoo suddenly decided to take that long-standing service offline. There's only one possible reason, is that they want to thwart people from leaving. And I think that is reprehensible behavior.
Horrible company.
And finally, Verizon wants a $1 billion discount on its pending purchase because of all of this.
I wouldn't be surprised maybe if they can get it at a fire sale price, they'll say, well, let's go ahead.
Abandon.
But they could probably abandon it. There's usually a clause that says if you abandon it, it's going to cost you $100 million or something like that. But I bet you there's a further clause that says unless it's for cause.
An escape clause.
And I'm sure this is good enough cause. I can't imagine a judge would say, oh, no. I mean, Yahoo has completely damaged its reputation. And what makes me sad is so has Marissa Mayer in this. She's completely culpable all the way through. She's the CEO.
It was her decision 2 years ago.
Just very disappointing. I really expected better from her.